Just a bit of a lay of the land, some of the things we have coming up this morning. Steve Millington, of course, the chairman of the Twin Falls County Republican Party, will join us. He does that between 8:30 and 9 o'clock on Tuesday mornings. So we'll have a chance to get an update from Steve and some of his views. He's not shy about offering them. That's probably why he's the chair of the party. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Also, we have a fellow coming by just after 9 o'clock news this morning who's going to give us a briefing on the upcoming visit by Brigitte Gabriel. She's appearing here on Thursday at the Roper Auditorium, 7 o'clock in the evening. And, of course, if you don't know who Brigitte Gabriel is, you wouldn't have to go take a lot of time, that is, on the internet to find out exactly who she is. She has been an activist for many, many years. She had to flee her native Beirut, Lebanon, when she was about 12 years old. Her Christian family had to pack up and leave because during the Civil War there, as the Muslims moved in, they were killing the Christians. And she warns that these are types of things that could happen in other parts of the world. You're seeing it in Europe right now. So she is coming here to speak about this issue. She has addressed the United Nations, and she has a long, long resume on these issues. We had hoped to get Brigitte Gabriel herself on the radio with us this week, but I'm told she's doing a lot of traveling. And I pointed out, well, yes, she's traveling to Twin Falls, and I'm hosting a radio show in Twin Falls. Perhaps we could get her on the radio here still. And I do not have an answer to that yet, but we have a representative coming in who's going to tell us a little bit about that visit. That's on the way. So that's the guest list so far this morning that we have right here on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Speaking of Muslims, this flap with this fellow named Khizr Khan, who has he was on a television program, I guess, yesterday saying that he would like all of the controversy to go away and people to leave him alone, but he keeps popping up on television. And I've been thinking a lot about this. This is the man who spoke last week at the Democrat National Convention, and he had his wife by his side, and they spoke about the loss of their son, who was a captain, was in the U.S. military, died in Iraq, gave the last full measure of devotion for his country. And then Khan got into a bit of a peeing match with Donald Trump over the course of the last several days, as the two of them went back and forth on this, because Khan is angry that Trump is speaking about a prohibition on Muslims coming to this country from war-torn areas of the world because we can't vet them. Now, I think that Trump got into the argument without really thinking it through clearly. And if there's any knock against Donald Trump, it is the fact that he too often, in rhetoric, at least in rhetoric, he shoots from the hip. That is, he shoots first before questions are asked or answered. And there are some legitimate reasons to say that Trump should not be criticized about all of this. But still, he should not have gotten down and wallowed in the mud with this guy, because it looks bad considering what Khan's son did for this country. And I do believe it will eventually blow away. And some of the poll numbers we're seeing for Hillary Clinton right now, she's back in the lead supposedly in most of the major polls. That will probably, if Trump lets this thing go, it'll pass and it'll be a phase. And if we can concentrate on the difficulties we're having with the economy, then Trump will move back, I think, in the polls and perhaps take the lead once again in some of the battleground states, which he needs to do. But I've got this for you to share. Despite all of the media yammering on about this, of course, there is a double standard out there. This comes from newsbusters.org. Khizr Khan and his wife Ghazla's DNC appearance earned 55 minutes and 13 seconds, a Big Three network coverage, nearly 50 times more than Pat Smith, whose RNC speech honoring her son earned just 70 seconds. In the days that followed Smith's indictment of Clinton from the RNC podium, now her son died at Benghazi, CBS gave 3 seconds to it, ABC 13 seconds, and NBC 54 seconds. In the 4 days following Khan's speech, NBC gave it 31 minutes and 39 seconds, ABC 14 minutes and 21 seconds, and CBS 9 minutes and 13 seconds. Now, I think that this is an understatement. This is what the writer says. This is a textbook case of bias by agenda. One of these stories, and that would be the Khan story, matched the Democrat Party agenda, and the partisan media couldn't push it hard enough. The other reflected poorly on the Democratic nominee, so it was barely mentioned. Pat Smith, actually, the night after she gave her speech, which the networks didn't carry. They carried the Khan speech, we should point out, ignored her speech for the most part. After giving her speech, she was called a liar by Chris Matthews on television. For crying out loud, she lost her son in the service of this country, and Matthews saying that is considered okay by the liberals and the elites in this country. Pat Smith finally popped up yesterday on CNN. Now, this is a little long. It's nearly 2 minutes in length. But she's giving it right back to the media. Take a listen to this. And I've got a Trump segment coming up, too, as well. I think that will shed a little bit more light on this, because you cannot be influenced by the agenda of the mainstream media in this country. They're trying to get you to do things you might not otherwise do. And you may not like what Trump said, but keep it in context of what the games the media is trying to play with your mind.
I was treated like dirt. I don't think that the Khan family was treated that way. But I was treated like dirt. I was called a liar. She went on TV many times and nodding her head, thinking that she is so wonderful and she knows everything and I know nothing, and I was just imagining this. I don't imagine my son getting killed. I don't imagine that at all. But why would she say that to me? And what did she say to the Khans? I don't know. I'm still...
I cannot begin.
We have
to
a rotten government.
What your walking for selection be about. What is America about?
It should be about honesty. If you say something, mean it. If you don't mean it, don't say it. I was told so much bull crap about Benghazi, and most of the things that I heard were lies, absolute outright lies. And the government never got back to me like they promised. Hillary promised she would get back to me and tell me what happened. I don't know why my son is dead. I don't know why he was there. And I was told I am not a member of the immediate family and I do not deserve to know. I don't know if the Khans were told something or not. You bring me out here to say things that I don't know. I want answers, and I want answers about why my son is dead and why she made the decisions that she made. I don't like her decisions. I don't think she'll make a very good, any kind of good president.
Okay.
I don't like her decisions. She kills people.
Oh, boy. Imagine a CNN thinking, oh, we better not have her back. Because the mainstream media, ever since Benghazi 4 years ago, has been saying there's nothing to see here. They wanted to protect President Obama's re-election chances when it happened 4 years ago. And now they want to get their girl over the finish line. That's what this is all about. Actual justice for this woman, Pat Smith, is irrelevant to them. She's an impediment, which shows you, as they're backing up this Khan fellow, just what they're really all about. It's not about right or wrong. It's about getting Hillary Clinton into the White House. Meanwhile, Howard Kurtz, longtime media critic, before he joined Fox News, all of those folks out there who think that Fox News is a biased a group of hacks talking about right-wing politics all the time, Howard Kurtz was a media critic for places such as the Washington Post. This is a story from Howard Kurtz comparing the media coverage of Pat Smith versus Khizr Khan.
Two parents, both touched by tragedy, gave impassioned speeches on big stages. Khizr Khan, a Muslim father whose soldier son was killed in Iraq, denounced Donald Trump at the Democratic convention.
Have you even read the United States Constitution?
Patricia Smith, whose son was killed in Benghazi, denounced Hillary Clinton at the Republican convention.
I blame Hillary Clinton personally for the death of my son.
But only one of them drew enormous attention. Khan's speech made the front page of the New York Times, and he was invited on NBC's Meet the Press and CNN's State of the Union.
That's, again, height of ignorance on a part of a candidate for the highest office of this nation.
The way he showed disrespect towards the Gold Star mother of this country, that says it all.
Your wife.
My wife.
Khan was referring to Trump's appearance on ABC's This Week.
If you look at his wife, she was standing there. She had nothing to say. Maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say.
The Washington Post ran an op-ed by Ghazala Khan, who said she was too emotional to speak. Some analysts said Trump had escalated the controversy.
This wouldn't be a big story today if Trump hadn't stepped in it again
That's his
and
style,
gone
he
after
does it that way.
gone after the family.
But what about Patricia Smith? True, she'd castigated Clinton before in numerous interviews, but her speech was widely ignored and in some cases attacked.
A GQ writer tweeted, "I would like to beat her to death." Later had to apologize for it.
It's appalling.
MSNBC said that she ruined the night and it's a gross accusation to bring up Benghazi.
Clinton took a softer approach on Fox News Sunday.
Chris, my heart goes out to both of them. I don't hold any ill feeling for someone who, in that moment, may not fully recall everything that was or wasn't said.
And today, Khan was back on the TV circuit. Khan is ripping Trump for pushing a temporary ban on Muslim immigrants, which is unpopular with most of the media. Smith is personally blaming Clinton for Benghazi, which most of the media find unfair. And that seems to show in the coverage.
Hillary Clinton, by the way, again calling Pat Smith a liar, just not coming up directly and saying it, but saying, oh, she misunderstood what I told her. All of the families apparently misunderstood what Clinton said, of the families of the 4 dead Americans in that situation. Speaking of Khizr Khan, the Daily Caller has unearthed this. Khizr Khan, the Muslim father of a slain American soldier, is an attorney who has previously written in a law journal about Islamic law. He specifically wrote about the purity of the Quran and the Sunnah over all texts and interpretations. And this comes from a 1983 paper he wrote about this, an academic paper. Quote, all other juridical works which have been written during more than the 13 centuries are very rich and indispensable, but they must always be subordinated to the Sharia and open to reconsideration by all Muslims, unquote. So there you have it. Father of the dead boy, who again gave the last full measure of devotion for this country, truly a hero. Dad's a skunk. Dad is promoting Sharia law. How come the mainstream media hasn't been telling us about that? That is, I think, an absolute affront. He says Donald Trump doesn't recognize or understand the Constitution. This guy believes Sharia law should actually be in place in this country. That's not constitutional whatsoever. Look, I'll get to your telephone calls coming up in the next segment. I have a hard break coming in just a moment. But we are dealing with people in media right now. They are out of the closet. You know, throughout most of my lifetime, media had been in the closet trying to hide its love for its liberal fellow travelers. They're completely out of the closet now and trying to tell you that if you don't go along with them, there's something wrong with you. These are devious, despicable, amoral people. And if you don't understand that, and if you're swayed by what they're telling you, then we've got a serious problem in this country. As the bumper stickers say, don't trust the liberal media, which means about 95% of it. Don't trust the liberal media. Bill Colley with you on Top Story this morning on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. It's 60. 20 minutes after 8 o'clock, Steve Millington will be joining us in a few minutes, too, right here on News Radio 1310. Hope you can stick around. We'll be getting to our guest in just a moment. I want to point out, tomorrow morning between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, we have a guest coming in from Tripp Family Medicine, and we'll be talking some health issues. Tripp Family Medicine located right here in Twin Falls. That's on Fillmore Street across from the main post office, and, of course, they're still looking for new patients. We should also point out that if you're a patient of Tripp Family Medicine and you have an issue, let's say comes up in the morning, sometimes you have those GI issues and things that just get you completely by surprise. Generally, they can see you on the same day and offer some treatment. And they'd like to remind you, life's too short not to feel good. It's 8:24. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. And our telephone number, if you'd like to reach us this morning, is 736-0300, 736-0300. Also, Donald Trump, after wallowing in the mess of this Khizr Khan thing for the last several days, I think he got it right last night on Sean Hannity's program on Fox News. And if you could, take a listen to this for just a moment. Now, Trump opposed the entry into the Iraq War. That's not really a Republican position, but it actually is a good defensible position for him on the claims by Mr. Khan.
Well, I have no idea, but I watched him at the Democratic National Convention, and he was really going after me. There's no question about it. And I watched, and it's fine. I mean, I guess it's part of my life. I can say this, if I was president, because his son died 12 years ago, if I were president, his son wouldn't have died because I wouldn't have been in the war. If I was president back then, there would have been no war for Iraq. I can tell you that, because I think it's ridiculous, the whole thing. And to be in that war was, as you know, ever since I've known you, I've been against that war. And you wouldn't have been in the war.
And you were also against pulling out early. You said once we were there, we had to finish the job.
That is, by the way, that's true. They pulled out and they lost it and they gave it up to ISIS and they gave it up to a lot of other people. But I wouldn't have been in the war. We would have had no war with Iraq. Iraq would have been right now fighting as they had been forever. They would have right now been fighting. They'd be in the middle of fighting Iran again for another 5-year spurt. And they'd be moving nowhere. They'd be fighting each other, moving nowhere.
And before we get to Steve Millington, I've got this email from Anna Workman, also a Gold Star mother. And she says, as a Gold Star mother, I would not have politicized the loss of my son like Khan did at the DNC. That whole speech that he gave just did not pass the sniff test. And she writes, then as it comes to light, Khan is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood and specializes in immigration and Sharia law. Trump did not show any disrespect to Mrs. Khan or to their son. She says, I posted a letter to Khizr Khan on Facebook from a soldier which pointed out the deficiency of the speech that Khan gave at the DNC. And Anna writes, I ended up having my rear end handed to me by the sister of one of the crew members who died on the helicopter that my son was on. She has been duped by the media and all the hype. She's also from Hawaii and lives in Seattle, which are Democratic strongholds. And she probably is in line, step with those cities' politics. She basically told me that I have disrespected my son for throwing support for Trump or showing support for Trump. And then she asks, really? But she brings up some great points about Khan's background. Khan politicizing, as she points out, the loss of his son in hopes of getting Hillary Clinton into the White House and stopping Donald Trump, his plans to have a better vetting process for bringing refugees into this country, some of whom could be dangerous. Ultimately, that is what this is all about. It's 8:27. We've got a couple of minutes before the break, and Steve Millington is going to spend the next half hour with us as well. 62 on News Radio 1310 KLIX, and good morning.
I'm sorry, I was not paying attention. Good morning, Bill.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it has been forever, hasn't it? I was just making some notes here on my sheet of paper, and I thought you'd picked up a telephone call when you said good morning. And I thought, oh, he's got somebody on the phone already. Oh, crud. It's going to be a long day this morning, Bill.
You know, we're watching what the media is doing, and I don't think Trump could have probably been a little bit more diplomatic about this, but we know that he is running not only against Clinton, but against the mainstream media.
He made this statement, and I heard it this morning on one of the television shows. He's bypassing mainstream media. He's going to have to take his message directly to the voters, to the public, and not depend on media at all, because they are almost without exception lined up against him. And he's going to have to bypass media stuff and go right directly to the voters, because he's not going to get any attention with the media people. It's just like the comment you made about Khan. Is that his last name?
Yeah.
Where do we read in the media that this guy is actually working to bring in refugees, and he's working, did you say an advocate of Sharia law?
Yes.
Wonderful. Isn't that a good thing? Let's have somebody come in and destroy our constitutional republic. And what do you want to bet? That we never see that vetted in the public media. It ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen.
Due to Tucker Carlson's Daily Caller, I know about it. But, you know, I don't think many Americans look at the Daily Caller.
No, that's not on their list very high, I don't think.
We've got more coming up with Steve Millington. He's joining us from the Twin Falls County Republican Party. It's 60, and it's 8:30. Bill Colley with you as well on News Radio 1310 KLIX and NewsRadio1310.com.